we've been discussing here is just Pulsechain being is going to be a fork of Ethereum with much of the same functionality, hopefully improvements upon Ethereum as we know it today, but also a fork of the entire chain state, meaning a copy of all the contracts, tokens, balances, etc., that are running on Ethereum will be forked over onto Pulsechain as well. Now, what differentiates this from, say, ETH proof of work or ETH fair? It will be proof of stake. It will be running the current Ethereum mainnet. But also, we have, as Corey mentioned, hundreds of projects that are already building for Pulsechain, hundreds of DeFi projects. Running the full gamut from serious big DeFi to fiat on and off ramps to meme coins and NFT collections, right? Everything across the full spectrum. So you have a massive group of users eager to adopt this new chain. You also have what we started this conversation with, what is being called the AMM Fixer Bot, the Automated Market Maker Fixer Bot, which is a program that will be the first thing to run on chain and will automatically buy up the liquidity that was forked over from into Uniswap and SushiSwap and all these other places, and will deploy that liquidity into Pulsex. Why is it doing this? Well, there's going to be, I think I was corrected the other day, like 100 million or a million or more Pulse per ETH on the system, right? So there's going to be over 150 trillion Pulse tokens or coins, whereas there's 1 million times fewer Ether on Ethereum, right? So when the system is adjusted for this change in the number of coins out there, all that liquidity that got forked over will be way out of whack and way out of value. So this first thing that runs on the chain will be the last thing that will ever mint a Pulse coin ever, the AMM Fixer Bot, and it is going to mint Pulse, and it is going to use that Pulse to buy up any liquidity for an ERC20 token that was previously paired with Ethereum prior to the fork, now is paired with Pulse after the fork, and will buy all that up and then redeploy that liquidity onto Pulsex, a brand new automated market maker decentralized exchange being deployed onto Pulsechain. It's a fork of Pancake Swap with some additional functionality added to it, and will basically rebalance that liquidity and deploy it in one central place where it can't be rugged by people who want to just yank liquidity and destroy the availability of people to be able to trade in and out of these fork tokens, and will also provide incentives for providing liquidity on certain pairs from day one, right? So Pulsechain is going to be a massive opportunity, and hopefully with these few major changes that I described is going to be a significantly different experience at launch from what we saw with ETH Fair and ETH POW.
So the money thing is super great, right? Like I think we're all on that page, but I think let's take one step back and maybe we could all sort of share our perspectives on this. Is why Pulse Chain? Like what's the big deal? What's the big innovation here? Is there a big innovation here, right? Because I know we're using the term fork and stuff. It's not exactly a fork, right? Because we're initializing with a system state copy of Ethereum. It's not exactly a fork, right? Like we're using a different VM, like there's a different language, there's, it's not exactly a fork. So I don't know, does anybody have a good summary on that, or like can really elicit the points of, why does this matter? Why wait 2 years? Why go through all this effort?
Sure. So if we go back to what I was saying about merging versus forking, if you look at Ethereum Fair and ETH, they rolled backwards, not forwards. Whereas we are rolling forwards, and we also have a couple other points, and other people can give their own perspective, but we have everything all together in one house at the same time. It's also created or knowledge-based, proofed by people within the same ecosystem at the same time. Everything else usually came encountered in layers and levels to then build into what Ethereum is today. Not only do we have that, but we have the capital of the people that have done well before, that have been running the forefront of what proper unification of what DeFi is, how to ensure the utility of those things. And it's almost like we have a lot of people all starting the same race at the exact same time. And that's exceptionally powerful on why Ant shares or Neo didn't go anywhere. EOS didn't go anywhere. All the other problematic things on Solana will plague them because they didn't get everything right the first time.
I want to compare real quick how most blockchains launch empty, right? So if you look at Matic, some people say Matic alleviates some pressure off of Ethereum, that it's cheaper, maybe it's faster. But it's kind of funny because it launched as a completely empty chain, and any of the tokens over there had to be bridged in, which introduces the bridge risks. So now you have all the original ERC20s just hanging out in these big wallets that may or may not be able to get drained at some point. And then the liquidity on the Matic side is much, much thinner than it is on Ethereum, right? So the people who use it, they go over there to save on gas, and they end up paying more because of the price impact, because of the thin liquidity on all these pools they're playing with. So it doesn't completely counteract the price, the gas savings that they get, but to some extent it does. And every chain that's ever been an EVM to an EVM chain has kind of launched that way, completely empty. What Pulsechain does is it just copies everything over. But unlike what ETH-Fair and ETH-POW did, it takes into consideration the gas coin quantity differences, and it corrects for that.
So, we talk a lot about early mover advantage, but look, in this case, actually, it's been to our great benefit to sit back and see all the mistakes and all of the trials and tribulations of all of the other L1s that went beforehand. So what the real value proposition here is that, look, now you don't have to go to Matic just because you want lower fees. We got lower fees. You don't have to go somewhere else because it's faster. This is already fast, So it's almost combining like the greatest aspects, like the real value propositions of why people bridge, because it is a vulnerability. Like every time you bridge, you have to assume some risk in that process, and then bridging back and all so on and so forth. So yeah, I think maybe we could sort of kind of collect our thoughts about why is Pulsechain really, like, is it an innovation? Like, do you guys truly believe that, or have we waited so long that at this point we just want to see our coins pop up in our wallet? Like, where are we at with that?
I think innovation is cool, but the average user could care less about how something works. What they care about is that it does, right?
Today, I think maybe a vacation Bible school. Typically, the Knights of Revelry build folly.
I have no idea what that was. So it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be faster. How it does that, the average user could care less. What's interesting is everyone gets a copy of their coins, and when people learn that they have all the same things that they already have in their wallet are still in their wallet on a new network, they come and play, and it's cheaper and it's faster, and they go, well, maybe I should stick around. Now, some people will extract value, of course, but why would they? If the ratios are corrected, if it's cheap, if it's fast, if it's smooth, we'll retain a lot of those users on the chain.
Here's what I would care about a lot more than ratios is it safe? Is it secure? Like, am I comfortable putting $1 million on something new, right? That's a genuine question, because no matter what, we have people getting in and out of crypto, whatever, they have, what we really want to see are the people with big bags. You want to see the whales being assured that if they do transfer their capital, they use the bridge, they go through the steps, that it's safer on Pulsechain than it is anywhere else. What it can be redeemed for at exactly what moment, like, that's all sort of like, that's relative, and obviously the market has to build up with time, right? There's no way around that, right? But I think one thing that Richard Hart does even better than marketing, at least in my opinion, is he truly cares about this security. And I think that given all those other positive attributes of, all right, so when you do want to move money from wallet to wallet, you can do so very quickly and very cheaply. That's a great perk. But if it's not secure to begin with, well, that's not going to change. That's not going to sway anybody from getting off Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything else, right? So I think that's one of the biggest value propositions here is that you have a founder who's truly committed to ensuring the security and safekeeping of your assets above everything.
Yeah, so I will comment on what I heard. Wagwan, man. I'm hearing a lot of good things. It's getting me excited. And no, this is not David. I am Joseph Kony's cousin. Remember Kony 2012? He's still alive and well. So my condolences to him. I'm hearing very good things, because the Ethereum forks, a lot of them are just, I don't want to curse on this space, but a lot of those forks, they basically went to shit.
Yeah, the garbage.
And yes, Ethereum POW, it got POWed. A lot of the other ones, Ethereum Classic, it doesn't know one day $10, one day $100. And are people building there? Who knows? You brought up a good point about the bridging. Bridging is a big risk, and what's the point in saving gas if there's going to be a big liquidity price disparity? So in terms of the technology and moving forward, and in terms of kind of not only fork but merging, taking inspiration from the code and moving forward, I think that this is very exciting because then the project founders, even if it's meme coin, they do not have to worry about bridging. It's already done. And security is top of mind. That's very important. Pancake Swap, I think they are killing it. Very good user experience. UX is very important. Security is very important. Is it going to be secure? Ethereum has it's time tested, so they've been here for a long time, and I think I think the future is very bullish. Of course, it's not financial advice, but I think what I'm hearing for Pulse is everything makes sense. And this is coming from somebody who has no hex. I just see Richard Hart, I see what he's doing. But everything I'm hearing about Pulse and Pulse X and copying everything over, doing all the hard work, and you don't have to worry about bridging to this and going over here. I think this makes a lot of sense doing the fork of Pancake Swap. We see how good Pancake Swap has been doing, and that's going to help people transition because people don't jump from as a UX designer, people don't jump to a new platform when it's too hard, when there's too many difficulties. But clearly, Pulse is going to make this as easy as possible. So I think we might. Is it too far fetched to say maybe some, let's just say, meme coins on ERC20? What if they just sell and they say F Ethereum and they just go and pump on Pulse? What if they just decide to use Pulse as their native focus? Is that possible? That they just want to transition?
Well, there's a lot of meme coins launching on Pulse Chain to begin with. You have Pulse Bitcoin, you have Pulse Dogecoin, you have a few others that I don't know off the top of my head, but I've interviewed at least 3 to 5 meme coins that intend on launching on Pulse Chain once it's launched. And as you know from the last cycle, meme coins garner a very plausible value proposition in regards to onboarding because they're friendly, they're familiar, there's familiarity, and they're relatable because people love memes and they generally love dogs, and I do believe that there is inherent value, but I do believe that like ETH POW and like ETH Fair, with these type of coins that are forked over, there needs to be some type of proposition to be brought for the communities to be brought over. And I think that will come with the value proposition of 150 plus projects launching on Pulse Chain, basically at launch or shortly thereafter. It's not launching without anything on it. So I do believe that when people see value, they flock to the value. So I do believe that there are meme coins in the Pulse Chain ecosystem right now that exist. They're not launched on Pulse Chain yet, but they have value proposition. They already have very strong communities. Pulse Dogecoin being one of them, having a very strong community.
I would really
Hey,
like to
real
chime in on
quick.
this one.
Yeah, and just real quick, I just want to say real quick, because Katie, I know that you were trying to hold your hand up and talk. So I was going to say real quick, guys, I know there's some requests that want to come up and speak. If you guys are done at as a speaker and want to drop down so we can allow some more people to come up for their questions, I appreciate it. And sorry, Katie, go ahead.
Pulsechain already has adoption from several communities outside of our own. So there is 300,000 people in our community that's waiting for Pulsechain, as well as all of the forked over liquidity. But the SHIB community, I have been in contact with several of them, and their whole community is waiting for Pulsechain to launch because they are willing and happy to come to Pulsechain because of the gas fees on Ethereum. The whole entire SHIB community are standing by waiting to see what happens with Pulsechain because they believe that some of their forked over copies could actually end up more valuable than their Ethereum copies. And then you have the projects that are building on Pulsechain. So the liquidity issue isn't a thing with Pulsechain because the liquidity with us, obviously we're a system state copy. So we have ERC20s, we have ERC 721s, we have everything. And that's all being brought up by Fixerbot. The ETH to ERC20 pairs are being brought back to Pulsex. And then you have bridging solutions that you guys were talking about. So some people aren't comfortable using a new cross-chain bridge because obviously you have to hold your asset in the custody of that bridging platform. And for some new users that don't necessarily know Pulsechain, sometimes that is very hesitant because obviously there is exploits that can happen with bridging platforms and people are hesitant with them. So our community builds applications and DeFi protocols ready for Pulsechain. So my team, Power City, we are building a multi-chain bridge. So we won't have any protocol-owned liquidity. We're using bridge DEX aggregators. So we'll be pulling the liquidity from Pulsex to route orders from other chains. So you'll be able to bridge in from 20 plus chains to Pulsechain through our bridging platform without any protocol-owned liquidity by utilizing Pulsechain's liquidity that's being forked over and other liquidity pairs that are built or put into those pools. So our community is part of what makes Pulsechain so strong and how we can onboard so many people over. The NFTs have forked over copies and we have 4 NFT marketplaces being built on Pulsechain. Our community builds the adoption and people are brought to the adoption because of their incentive that they have free copies.
These are all great points about. There we go.
And by the way, I'm going to drop down to you guys. This is probably one of the most articulate conversations I've heard in a long, long time. So let me have someone else have my spot. Bye, guys.
I know there are people at the top who think that adoption will come without any dApps on it, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous, to say the least. So I think it's very crucial to keep your eye on, and that doesn't mean buy, but keep your eye on these protocols that are bringing bridging platforms, that are bringing wallets, that are bringing, that are bringing DeFi to Pulsechain. Pulsechain's thankfully evolved from just low gas fees for hex stakers. I appreciate all the work that's going in with over 130 projects that are launching on Pulsechain so that it's not just a vaporware chain when it launches that has one use case, and that's just to lower the price for hex stakers if they want to unstake. So I find massive value in the proposition of bringing more projects into Pulsechain, and I think there needs to be a lesser resistance in regards to those projects. Doesn't mean you have to buy them. I know there are still some, loud barks that are resistance against Pulsechain ideals in regards to bringing new projects in, but in order for adoption to occur, you need more people to come in, and lack of a professional word, not just a circle jerk of the same people.
I think that's a good point. So the reason Ethereum is so successful is not because they made a chain with only, one gas coin, a consensus mechanism, and then a place to swap maybe one ERC20, right? That's not what made Ethereum wildly successful, right? What made it successful is people decided to start building on it because it did something that Bitcoin could not do. All the chains that have forked Ethereum, the levels of success that they have are directly proportional to the building that's occurring on them, and then the users that like to go and play with all those different things. So if we want to see Pulsechain be a wild success, millions of users, there has to be some level of protocols that appease to all the people who want to come play on it.